Hello, welcome again to Eden TV. Today we're going to talk about small space solutions, terraces and balconies, edible solutions that you can achieve in your own balcony. Now, one of the most important things, and something I always discuss with people when they come in, is which way are your balconies facing? If you've got more than one balcony, but which way you're facing, because that really does affect the choices that you might make. So here we're in the sort of simulated north balcony, surrounded by edibles, just to prove it. Lovely. And north, it kind of depends a little bit whether you've got a lid on your balcony or terrace. So if you do have a lid over the top with perhaps somebody on the floor above, then in the summer the front part of your balcony, because the sun is so high, the front part of your balcony will be in sun, which gives you a bunch of options. And then generally a little bit further back there is more shade, which again can be useful to you. Whereas in the winter, because the sun angle is lower, you're normally in glorious sunshine. And yeah, so north is probably one of the easiest orientations to work with, because that you can put in the summer, you can put the sun-loving plants towards the front, and then play with the shade for things that want a little bit more shade. And then in the winter, when the sun is more mild, you pretty much have, depending on your exact orientations, you might have 5 or 6 hours of glorious sunshine. So we're autumn coming towards winter. And most of the edibles actually begin to enjoy quite a bit of sun. Some don't like it so much in the summer, but most of the things you want to grow want a reasonable amount of sun. So I've just got a few things arrayed here. It's less about fruiting plants. It's more about things where you eat their leaves. So there's the sort of lettuces. There are some fantastic lettuces which are beautiful things to have in the almost table decorations, but still very edible and give you lots of produce. Rockets. There's the whole of the cabbage family, broccoli, kale, broccolinis, silver beets, all that kind of stuff. A lot of people want all of the summer herbs, like sweet basil, but there is things like the perennial basil, which if it's in a nice location will just grow all year round. Slightly different taste, but you can still make a bruschetta or whatever with that. And don't forget about the kitty cat. You can fantastic weather for growing cat grass and cat mint and all that kind of stuff. So if you have the north facing balcony, you can really rejoice in the sort of the cool season, because you've got all the options there. In summer, you do need to think about shade. So things like coriander, mint, etc., are very, very heat sensitive. So they're the ones that you would hide in your shade. As we move into the cooler months, you can actually bring them out into the sun. So this is a really nice orientation to work with. And if you've got things like the veggie pod, this is the big veggie pod, this is the big daddy, but there's two other sizes, one that's half the size and one that's quarter the size. Fantastic, and the two smaller sizes have wheels, so that you can move to run away from the sun or chase the sun, and you're very, very productive with these guys, and you can even keep wildlife or livestock as well. Then we have, on a slightly smaller scale, there's a whole family of them. So these little Elho solutions. So these are more modest things, and they have the benefit, particularly as we go into winter, of actually being almost like a mini greenhouse. So you can definitely start off all your things in there, and for the more tender ones, they can live their lives in there. And there's a whole family. This is the big one. I think there's two or three sizes smaller than that. So that's a really nice solution. Okay, so and this is also a great place to have your some of your fruit trees. The citrus will do fantastically well here. Now we'll move round to the west. Now the west can be a tricky place, as people with western balconies can attest, because it's very, very, very hot and unforgiving in the summer, particularly in the late afternoon. And you do have to kind of pivot a little bit in terms of what you choose and where you put it. Often, everything, because angles change all the time, there will be the shady corner or the more shady corner. So value those things, but really consider larger plants in larger pots. As a pot size, the width of it doubles, the amount of volume of soil and moisture retention goes up by the order of 8 times. So they're much more robust. Much less watering has to be done for any given plant. And also, as I'm trying to demonstrate here, you can use the valuable shade that these things throw to grow softer plants behind. And there's a demonstration of what a beautiful table decoration, but beautifully edible and regenerative, that just some lettuces can be. So you are, never eat on camera. So the west can be a slightly tricky place to operate, but find your shade in the summer, but in the winter it can actually also be a really glorious place, because depending on your angles you might have 4 or 5 hours of sun, which is fantastic, and a lot of the things that you can grow on the north side can actually operate here as well. Now we're moving round to the southern balcony. Now this can be a glorious retreat in summer where it's nice and shady, to get away from that heat, and it's very good to be able to greenify your balcony with things that can give a bit of lushness to the appearance. But there are plants that you can eat and grow. So a lot of the herbs, the beloved herbs like coriander, actually hate the heat. So everyone thinks it's like they're bad with coriander. It's just they try and grow it in hot sun in the middle of summer. Whereas this is a lovely retreat for coriander to be growing in. So coriander and the mints, those people who like cocktails, the mojito mint, they really love it here. And then there's things like in the citrus area, there's the lovely kaffir lime tree, which we're not about fruit, so we don't need a lot of light, and that will generate very, very nicely for you, giving you lovely food ingredients. Can't do a video without mentioning a lemon myrtle. So this is a fantastic rainforest tree from northern New South Wales, which makes the most fantastic tea, and it's a great food ingredient. So all of these things will grow well. And one of the trickiest things about the southern balcony is where you've got southwest exposure, because the southwest is the shadiest place in town in the winter, and then it's the hottest place in the world for about 3 weeks at the end of December and early January. And that's where you might consider again having a big plant or some kind of screen to actually make that area always shady. Okay, and then you'll be able to successfully continually grow whatever suits that area. Otherwise, what happens very frequently, people have something that's grown fantastically for 10 months, and then in the middle of summer, just around Christmas time, it gets vaporized because the angles of the sun just to catch it. So that's well worth thinking about. So getting some big things in there to block off that southwest aspect is really good. And then if we now wander around to to the eastern aspect. Now, because we're sort of afternoon now, we're now into shade, but we've had lovely sun here all morning, and you can see all the flowers here. So this is the Versi wall. Love the Versi wall. Very, you know, like you can chop and change with the seasons. Virtually all of this stuff is edible, and get sufficient sun to sort of drive the flowers, get the strawberries developing. Lots of these things are the tea herbs. That's a lovely what do they call it? Mexican tarragon. It's actually a marigold, as you can see. The little flowers on there. That makes the most glorious sort of aniseed tea. Snappies. They're actually fun for the kids, but they're an edible flower, as are the violets and the pansies. Lettuces are going fantastically. Aloe vera. What's that one? That's the Vietnamese mint. So all of these things. This is the eastern aspect. Perhaps northeast would be absolutely optimal, but this is a fantastic place to garden, and also to think about one of these Versi walls. These are really good. This aspect, and also the southern aspect for things like ferns, etc., is really, really good. As you move round to the west, you're thinking about succulents and the like for the Versi walls. But the great thing is that you can just, particularly if you have a few spare parts, you can just chop and change and just make it look nice pretty much all year round.